Hey guys, Constance here. Welcome back to A Good Life Farm. So, it has been a work day here today. We have been mowing like crazy. We've gotten pretty much everything mowed with the exception of right here between the house and basically the in-ground garden, and then the chicken yard, which the chicken yard's going to get mowed this evening after all of the chickens go up to bed. That way we can move the fence out of the way, because we still use the poultry netting, because one of these days we'll get the fence in. So really quick, I actually wanted to share a little bit of a tip with all of you. This is something that's kind of handy to know. When you garden, or I mean, you don't even have to garden, this is something that can happen to anybody, but when you use tools, sometimes one of them gets left out accidentally and it gets rained on, or just left in the wet grass from the dew, and something awful happens. Rust. So what I'm going to show you is a easy way to get the rust off of your metal tools, and it makes it effortless. So this is kind of going to be a two-part thing, because this will kind of go overnight and then I'll show you the rest of it tomorrow. So depending on when I get this video finished or edited, I may or may not include the end result in this video, but I wanted to show you how to get this started. And all you're going to need is a jar that has a wide enough opening that you can get the tool down in there. So you don't necessarily have to use a jar. You could also use like a shallow dish or something like that. And actually, because I have more than one tool, I've got two of them. Yes, I have two of the same nippers. Actually, I have three of these, because these are my favorite ones, and sometimes I misplace them like this. So as I was saying, you need some sort of container that you can put the metal exposed part, that rusty portion of it, down inside, whether it's a shallow dish or a jar. And the other thing you need is this vinegar. Now, this is not regular vinegar. This is not the vinegar that you can with and cook with and make salad dressing from. This is cleaning vinegar, and you can actually usually find it in the vinegar aisle. Sometimes you find it near the household cleaners, but this is a stronger, more acidic vinegar. It's cheap, it's handy, and it's worth having a jug of this under your kitchen sink or wherever you keep your cleaning supplies. So because I've got more than one tool I need to do this with, I'm going to go grab a shallow dish instead of a jar. So I'll be right back. Alright, so I have got just a plastic dish here. You could use, depending upon the size of the tool you've got, you could use a jar, a tin can, coffee can, something like that, whatever you got handy. And so I'm just basically going to put these in here, kind of lay them down in there, and I'm going to take my vinegar and I'm going to pour them in just enough to cover the metal. Now, if you were putting this in a jar, you wouldn't need to worry about covering the handles. You would, again, just cover the metal. So now I'm just going to let those sit in the vinegar for several hours or overnight. Now, because that vinegar is really acidic, you don't want to get that on your skin. So once they are done soaking, you want to put on some rubber gloves or cleaning gloves, or something like that, latex, what have you. Pull them out, and then just take a Scotch pad, a green scrubby sponge, whatever, and just kind of work on that metal with that, and then it will come right off. If it doesn't come off easily, just let it soak a little bit longer overnight, and do it again in the morning. and it'll come right off. And so that is how I have saved many a tool here on the homestead, because things happen. So I need to harvest some tomatoes and tie some branches up. But I had someone ask me about the twine that I use. Want to know where I got it. So this particular what's left of it, spool, I guess, of twine, almost looks like a skein of yarn at this point. It used to be a lot bigger, but I bought this at my local farmers co-op in 2016, and I have used this extensively every year, and I've got at least another year or two more of twine here. So they make all sorts of different products that people use to tie their plants up, and you know, they've got this tape stuff, they've got these little like tomato clips and all of that. But the reason I like this, first of all, as you see, this one spool of this has lasted me for years, and I think I maybe paid $20 for it. But the other thing I like about this is that it's a natural product. This is just, you know, jute or whatever it is, and it's a natural product. So if I take a piece of this and I tie up a tomato plant, or I stake something up and tie it to it, and then I forget it out here on the trellis, or you know, it drops to the ground or what have you, it's biodegradable. It's not plastic. It's not, you know, a thing that I'm gonna find 3 years from now laying down in the soil or something. It's just gonna break down and essentially compost. So completely natural, very economical. And this discoloring you see on the ends of this, it's because I have left this whole thing laying out here for months at a time. And yeah, it's durable. It lasts a long time, but not longer than you want it to. Alright, I'm going to try and show you something. I don't know if the camera will be able to focus on it, but that weird looking bug right there on that tomato is actually a baby ladybug. That's what they look like. They're weird looking. But that is a good bug. So at this stage in the game, when I come out here to harvest, I bring two baskets. One is the good basket and one is the chicken basket. You know, I might come out here and I see this gorgeous tomato. Look at this heart. It's a heart or it's a booty. I'm gonna go with the heart. Looks like a good tomato, and then I turn it around and I see this. We are late in the season. Usually by the time we get to August, I'm ripping plants out, and I kind of am at this point. It gets so hot. The tomato plants just cook in the sun. And so I bring a basket out for the ones that look like this. I give them to the chickens, and then I have the basket for us. And I'll be going into the house and washing, coring, and freezing the tomatoes. I've got, I don't even know, I've lost count how many gallon-sized bags I have filled with tomatoes in there, and my plan for, I think, all of the tomatoes is going to be marinara and maybe pizza sauce. So, at this stage of the garden, it's kind of bittersweet, because there's things coming to an end, plants that are beyond their thriving stage. The heat gets so intense that, you know, they're just kind of cooking in the sun. But then at the same time, you've got these tomato vines like this that have just gotten wild, just wild and untamed. And it's kind of fun to see just how much they're going to grow, how long and winding those vines are going to get. And I love it, you know, even though some things are starting to struggle and some things are coming out, I'm making room for the fall garden already. I love it. I love this stage of the game. There's something to be said about every stage of the gardening process. And I'm actually going to try something new this year. I don't think I've mentioned it in one of my other videos, or maybe it was in one of the videos that I lost because of the audio issue. But I had someone suggest that rather than pulling out all of the tomato plants when they just stop producing, to let some suckers grow. To let some suckers that are lower down on the plant just go and keep growing. And then hopefully, as the season shifts and the southern sun eases off a little bit, that maybe we can get a whole nother round of tomatoes that way. So I'm going to do that this year. I've never done it before, but I figure it's worth a shot. The root systems are already established. The plant is already there. Yes, I'm dealing with some pests. Yes, there's a little bit of blight. But if all of that stuff up there kind of goes away and we have these brand new suckers that are creating whole new plants, maybe they'll have a shot. So it's always worth a shot. It's always fun to experiment in the garden every year. And we'll see how it goes. But I do love when the garden gets a little wild and unruly.